up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back here at Volkswagen in North Tampa, and guess what? I have that one sports sedan that went through some big changes for model year 2023. This is it. This is a 2023 Volkswagen Arteon. But before we get into this sporty gray finish of a sportback style sedan, let's talk about what's going on here. Volkswagen, VW, the people's car. It's been around since the 1930s. Everybody knows the brand when you think about a Volkswagen Beetle or the Volkswagen Bus, or maybe even a 1973 Volkswagen Thing. You ever heard of that? Google it. Anyways, in the segment today in the auto industry, there's two popular things that are happening. Obviously, over the past few decades have been SUVs, and Volkswagen has those with the Tiguan, the Taos, and of course the Atlas, but also Volkswagen is bringing now full electrification with the ID.4. The great news is they have not forgotten about sedans. And this sedan, the Arteon, which a few years ago replaced the CC, which the CC was very popular, the Arteon not really getting the love that it deserves. So what I want to find out is, when you look at this price point, when you look at what Volkswagen has done with the Arteon, and one thing that's special about it is not only its very unique style, but what they've done on the interior with the level of fit and finish. I want to compare it to two different vehicles, which, believe it or not, when Volkswagen first started, they weren't even a thing. The car companies weren't even a thing from these two brands. What are we talking about? The Kia Stinger GT and, of course, the Genesis G70. So let's go ahead, let's dive into our Moonstone Gray. That's what they call it. Moonstone Gray of an Arteon, and find out, is it the better sports sedan to buy over a G70 or the Stinger GT? Let's go ahead and find out. Right off the bat, the color. This Moonstone Gray would make Neil Armstrong very, very happy because it fits the body lines perfectly. Now, as we kind of do our lunar landing on the front corner here, what do we got going on? You got new style, new shapes, new lighting. Of course, we're gonna have our LED projector beam headlights. I absolutely am falling for how Volkswagen is doing their trim and lighting. So you'll notice this chrome trim, which isn't too heavy, but the way that they bring the LED turn signals and their daytime running lamps gives it such a nice, clean style, especially at night. You'll be able to tell that this is an Arteon from a million miles away. Now, as we drop down, we do have functional corner air curtains. So this is gonna flow air up and around the wheel well and down the side of the vehicle. A little bit of chrome, matches nicely with what's happening up top. The rest is gonna be gloss black, but the good news is it's not too heavy of a gloss black because you can see how you have that moonstone to kind of fill in all the gaps. Now, as we kind of drift into the center area here, you have that iconic badge, Volkswagen, the people's car, the new font with that total shape. I think it's so clean. Look at the way they kind of carve right around the top here with the front fascia to keep that badge. You have more of that lighting, and then everything else is going to be nice, smooth, clean, horizontal lines. Working our way to the lower area where you have this little bit of a splitter that kind of extends out with the gloss black, and this particular one is an R. So as you kind of feast your eyes on that section, we're going to talk about more what you get when you go and get that special R badging there. I like the badging because it's super clean, and it kind of just adds to the ambiance of what's happening at the front end of the business. Very low, very wide. Doesn't look anything like a Jetta or a Passat. Now, as we rise up that long, low sloping hood, you have clean body lines. Everything just flows so clean to the windshield and your A-pillars. And then as we work around the corner, what do we got when we come around the bend? Well, check this out. We got new wheels, larger wheels on our SEL R of an Arteon. So you're gonna notice this dark metallic gray finish all the way around, multi-spoke. I like the way it's got like a turbine spinning ability to it. Instead of 19-inch wheels like last year, these are now 20-inch wheels, 245 on the width, 35 series sidewall, just super clean with the moonstone. I'm gonna call this asteroid gray. So as you're flying your lunar module to the moon, you gotta avoid those asteroids. I'm gonna call this asteroid gray with our moonstone gray. Kind of goes together, space camp style. But really think that the size difference, going 20-inch, just really creates a nice feel. As we go down the side of the vehicle, we got a little bit of badging, but you know what? It doesn't look just stuck on like it comes from Pep Boys or AutoZone. We got our R badge, a little bit of chrome, matches nicely with what's happening at the front of the business. Color match mirror caps, slim and trim on the LED turn signals. And then what you'll notice is you got that sexy sport back roof sloping design. Bright shiny metalwork top and bottom. It would be interesting to imagine this with dark chrome. I think with the SELR, having it with the dark chrome might have been the better way to go, but at least they're consistent. That's the thing I'll give them. Color matched on the door handles. Really love the aggressive style of the lower portion, especially how this lower sill extends out and down. Perfect placement for a little bit of chrome trim. And then working our way towards the rear, look at how the passenger window, it's like they pulled it like a piece of Laffy Taffy. Just kind of pulled it and stretched it right into the rear pillar. They flared out the trim just enough to make things interesting. Nice hard body line coming out. And then as we kind of sweep around, like I was saying, this doesn't have a trunk. So if you're looking at the Genesis G70, Genesis G70 has a trunk. The Stinger GT has a sportback design where this whole thing lifts up, just like on this Arteon. Love the way they work the third brake light. Here's a little fun fact. When's the first year that the Department of Transportation required that? What's the answer? Yes, 1986. One zonk that I do have is I wish that with the glass from the sunroof, they would have blacked out the whole roof. Let me know how you feel about that. Would the whole roof blacked out look a little bit more like a cohesive design, or do you think that's too much black up top? Put it in the comment section. But you got a nice gloss black trunklet spoiler, I should say, sportback spoiler, looking good. They do a great job on their LED lighting, especially with the brake lights and the turn signals. And then working our way across, you got your Arteon badge, the Volkswagen badge, which also opens up the rear hatch. That's another way to make it super clean back here. This has all-wheel drive, that 4Motion all-wheel drive. Yes, it's front-wheel drive base, but then it's gonna send power to the rear. And then as we drop our way down, look at how they finished it off, just like up front. You got your nice chrome trim rings, but the problem is, what do we got going on here? They got chrome trim rings. They have chrome fake exhaust. Let's do the 5-finger test. You ready? Fake exhaust. That's a double zonk. Let me know how you feel about fake exhaust. Should they make those functional? I say yes. If you're gonna go through all this work of designing it, make it functional for God's sakes. But from the back, it does look really nice and sporty, just like the front. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what's powering our new Arteon. All right, guys, we got the hood pop. Now, when you're looking at the Genesis G70 or the Stinger GT from Kia, remember, you have engine options. They have the smaller 4-cylinder turbos, but then they also have the larger V6 twin turbos. What do we have underneath the hood of our Arteon? One engine choice, but the good news is it's actually an engine that's been detuned from the Golf R. What do we got? Underneath the hood, first of all, no engine cover. Let me know how you feel about that. I was expecting to see something because there's a little too much going on there with the tubes, wires, and everything else. But the nice thing is there is a bird's eye view of the turbocharger. But what do we got? We got that 2-liter turbocharged inline-4 putting out 300 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. Why, oh why did they detune it from the Golf R is beyond me. But we have, of course, a 7-speed DCT transmission. And when we go on throttle, 0 to 60 in about 4.5 seconds. MPGs, 22 in the city, 31 on the highway. But it really comes down to what you're looking for. You can go with an inline-4 turbocharged engine, like I said, with the Stinger, with the G70, and those come with traditional 8-speed automatics. Plus, those are rear-wheel drive based. This one is front-wheel drive with the all-wheel drive to send power to the rear with that 4Motion. But why don't we go ahead, let's start it up and see what it looks like in motion. All right, guys, get ready to take your lunar ship and land it inside this moonstone gray Arteon. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been looking for a new sporty sedan. There hasn't been a lot of choices in the price point that I was looking at. How much, though, is this Arteon, especially if you're comparing it to a Genesis G70? Because I was looking at the G70, especially the review that you did on that white one, and I really liked it. How much is this one? So this Arteon, being an R-Line, that SEL R-Line spec trim, with everything else, you're looking at an MSRP of right around $48,000. Let's see what you get for the money and what you get compared to the competition. To the door panels, I like what they're doing on the style. Very high level. It feels, the door panels feel like something from Audi. Nice stitching. You have this textured carbon fiber style design, which isn't meant to look like carbon fiber, but it looks really clean. A little bit of texturized gloss black, nothing too crazy. I love the white contrast stitching. Armrest is on the tough side, so I am gonna have to zonk that. Door pocket, maybe 2 bags of space ice cream, astronaut ice cream, and a bottle of Tang to wash it down. This one has the standard stereo system that is an 8-speaker system. There is an optional one with more speakers. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, here's the design that I love. Really nicely done, the way they took the AC vents. There's that silver texturized material. Looks very sharp, very bright, but nothing too crazy. The SEL trim, I don't know if Steven could show you, there's like a little thin strip of plastic right above the aluminum trim, style trim. Ambient lighting, over 30 flavors. So think about it. Flavors of lighting, I'm thinking Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors of ice cream. I'm gonna go there on throttle and get me some gloss black, nothing too crazy. And then we get to the infotainment side of things. Now, if you're comparing your infotainment screen to your friends that have maybe a G70 or a Stinger, if you're comparing size, you're gonna lose. This is an 8-inch system. It does have that hand gesturing ability, navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I do like the way it's got these really nice, clean graphics. There's our redesigned Arteon looking really good. We could go into our menu, go into vehicle, just like I was there before. You could even go hit car, and now you could change up the views of things. Really, really kind of cool what you could have displayed on your digital cockpit. So you could have the gear, your speed, you could go to view 1, maybe some range, classic, whatever you want, you could have it set up, and that allows you to have that section for your digital cockpit and everything. So that is really smooth to get through. And then you just close it up, and then guess what? You could hit car, and you're right back to where you started, or navigation, easy peasy. Working our way down, heated seats, and you do have 3 stages, but the problem is there's no ventilated seats, and that's a zonk because you could get that easily at the other price point from the other 2 from Kia or Genesis. Dual climate control, you're just gonna hit the color areas like that. I want it to be colder, not hotter. There we go, low. This guy's gonna control that 7-speed dual clutch. What does Volkswagen call it? They call it a DSG transmission with the leather boot. Little bit of gloss black. Open up this first door. What do we got going on here? Very small area, but it's wireless charging. That's pretty much all you need right there. Then you got your modes. I forgot to show your modes back on the screen, the different modes that we got going on, from custom, eco, comfort, normal. You know where we're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it in sport. How about backup camera? The resolution is a little on the rough side, and I do wish it was just a little bit larger. But you do have your sensory technology, and you got, of course, your trajectory. Put it back in a park. Working our way down, some dead buttons, which is surprising in here. You do have a nice sliding area for the cup holders. There is your Volkswagen key fob. It's clean. Remote start is nice. We got a little bit of a Tic Tac holder here. Orange, cinnamon, maybe some peppermint, 12 volt. You might need that for some type of radar detector. And then of course you have your leather hard armrest, not very soft. Open it up. You got enough space in there for, I would say, 6 moon rocks, small of course, USB-Cs, and then the seats. I do like those. The piping, the stitching, two-tone gray with the dark, and then of course you have electric adjustments for the passenger, electric adjustments for the driver, and you have this nice, decent-sized sunroof. It would have been nice to have a panoramic sunroof, but why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel of this Arteon. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel of this Arteon, that R-Line SEL trim. We got 3 memory seat settings, so you could actually go out and find 2 more friends, because maybe you don't have any. You could have 2 more friends and let them borrow your Arteon. Nice aluminum trim on the sill. And then Volkswagen does a great job on the pedal box. You got a nice large aluminum dead pedal, brake pedal, and throttle. We got the all-weather Arteon floor mats. That's worth an extra 5 extra horsepower. And then getting to those seat controls are very easy. You got the lower lumbar. You can adjust it right in the middle portion there. I'm 6 feet tall. Even with the sunroof, it's very well laid out in here, especially how low the center console is. Steering wheel, one of my favorites. Love the 2 different types of leather, perforated, smooth, flat bottom with the R badge there. Would be nice if this was a real R and not an R line. Even the way they do the horn button is tasteful. You do have paddles to go up and down that 7-speed DCT transmission, and it is a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then guess what? You're gonna get that all new digital dash display, virtual cockpit that Audi started now in this Volkswagen. Love the way you could just show the whole navigation, super clear, other information, and then bring it right back to where we started. So nice to have that. And depending on the mode, actually changes the graphics a little bit from eco to comfort. I guess if you're comfort, you're yellow. You're a yellow belly. And that's why you're chicken. And then you could go right back to normal. I'm keeping it in sport. That's how I roll. But very clear. I think the other thing that we're missing in here at this price point is a head-up display. But I have to admit, some of these touches, like I said, feel very Audi-esque, if that's a word at all. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the back seat and see if your passengers are gonna be squished like a big piece of Bubblicious in the back seat. Let's go ahead and find out. All right, guys, here we are, back seat time. I hope you have your space boots on, because you know what? There's actually more room in this than there was in the first lunar landing on the moon. In that modular, there's more room in this back seat. As you can see, great news. Thank you, Volkswagen. 6 feet tall, sexy sport roofline, still plenty of headroom. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. Backs of the seats, you got that soft material all the way around. Large pockets. You could put, I would say, probably 4 autographed 8x10s of the astronauts that you have, maybe Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, so on and so forth. Or what you could keep back here are your collectible constellation maps. So when you're searching for the Big Dipper, you don't have to search very far. You got your map and you can look up and check out the Big Dipper. Or maybe you're more of a Little Dipper kind of person. It's up to you. I'm going Orion. That's always been my favorite constellation. What do we got in the back seat here? We got our AC vents. They're here. They're not the sexiest looking of things. The Zonk, though, is all we got is a 12 volt. So you're going to have to go to Target, Walmart, Amazon, get yourself one of those USB adapters. That's a little bit of a letdown. There should be 2 USB-Cs back here. And maybe on a higher trim there is, but at $48,000, it needs to be here. But like I was saying, the seats are great. Pull this bad boy down. Ooh, super soft. Actually softer than the Charmin toilet paper that the astronauts first used when they went into space. So that's a big benefit. Flip it back. I like the way they did the stitching. Let's go ahead, let's get in that cargo area and see how it stacks up to the competition in this Arteon. All right, guys, cargo time. And this is one of those things, remember, when you go SUV, you're raising the center of gravity because you're in a taller vehicle, does not handle as well as this Arteon, or really any sedan for that point. And when we're comparing it to the G70, G70 has a trunk, and it is on the smaller side. The main competition, once we open this up, you'll see, is from the Stinger GT. Now, like I showed you earlier, you're just gonna use that. You got nice electric assist. You don't get that on the Stinger GT. Check out the amount of space. There are crossover SUVs that don't even have this much room. Nice low cargo floor. What do we got though? You're looking at 27.2 cubic feet of space. I like the way on the driver's side, we do have our spot for 2 boxes of Twinkies. And then on the right-hand side, it's kind of cool. They give you the history of, this is the book, the history, it's actually a first aid kit, but it is a book about the history of Volkswagen. And it also comes with special Volkswagen Beetle Band-Aids in case you cut yourself, like a paper cut as you're reading the history book. And then nobody is complete without their cargo net in a can. So you have your cargo net in a can. This, you know what this kind of takes me back to? The 1980s. I used to love these little muscle men guys that came in a clear plastic garbage can that looked like this. But anyways, I'm having a little bit of a flashback. But you know what? Before I go too flashy, I'm gonna hit this button. That's gonna drop down. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go on throttle in the new 2023 Arteon. All right, guys, we're in this 2023 Volkswagen Arteon, that SEL R-Line spec. We're leaving Volkswagen of North Tampa, and right away, I really can feel the difference in the quality of the materials in this vehicle. Great sound deadening, to be honest with you, and really loving the finishes that they have. Now, let me know what you think about the infotainment system being as small as it is, if you want a larger system there. Also, let me know if you would want it to be more like iPad style. Put that in the comment section. But the way the graphics are on the gauges, very, very well laid out, perfect thickness on the steering wheel, and these seats are ultra comfortable. Nice long lower cushions, kind of nestle my hammies, my hamstrings, and then everything else, like I said, is very well laid out in here. And you got plenty of room for the passengers in the back seat, that's for sure. But of course, that 7-speed DSG shifts very, very well, especially when you're in sport mode. You get that nice, snappy acceleration. Visibility out the front is great, and we're gonna go on throttle. You ready? 1, 2, 3. On throttle, here we go. Nice. Definitely quicker than the previous generation of the Arteon. So they did make some horsepower improvements there. Still would be nice to just have the same amount of power as a Golf R. But I get it, they don't want this vehicle to be as fast as the Golf R. But going down the highway soaks up all the bumps, the expansion joints, nice and smooth. And you're not getting a lot of road noise from the 20-inch tires as well. So don't be scared of 20-inch wheels and tires. You're actually getting a nice, smooth ride. Steering, as you go through the different modes, right now we're in sport, but depending on how you set up your modes is gonna adjust the heft of the steering. But we're gonna get to some twisty bits to really see how the chassis has been engineered with improvements, and definitely the suspension. But driving down the road, really, really nice and smooth, and just getting to everything is well within reach. I wish that the AC controls did have some physical buttons, but as long as you have some time to focus, you could really make sure that you're hitting the right point. I think the one thing I'm missing, especially being in hot Florida, are some ventilated seats. But I do like the way they have the blind spot monitoring on the inside portion of the mirror housing rather than on the glass itself. And then with the press of a button on the steering wheel, you could make the navigation take up that whole virtual cockpit. And yes, just like on the GTI and the Golf R, you do have your heated steering wheel button. It's a little close to the edge that, depending on what type of driving you're doing, especially if you're on some twisty bits, you might start getting some sweaty palms because you hit that button. It's either because you're scared and you're driving over your head, or you hit the steering heater button. But going down the road here in this traffic situation, very, very comfortable, very smooth. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the shifter and push it over to the passenger side. That's gonna allow me to go into manual shift mode. It actually tells me in the lower left-hand section of the screen. And then I really want to kind of showcase also that 4Motion all-wheel drive system. That's another thing that I really wanted to kind of bring to you, because that's what we have on this particular vehicle. But I'll slow down a little bit here. Second gear, first gear, on throttle, here we go. Wow, look at this, yeah! Nice handling from that 7-speed, very, very snappy, especially when you're using the paddles. But as you notice, I did hit a button on the screen. I wound up hitting this button here, which wound up taking away the map. And now the map is back. So just something to be aware of, that when you're driving through the twisty bits, you are gonna have some of that situation where you might be hitting these buttons. Hey guys, we're in second gear, slow roll, on throttle, here we go. On the brakes, brakes feel good, chassis feels good. Great feedback coming through the wheel. That 4Motion all-wheel drive system giving me the grip I need. Really feels good going through those twisty bits. All right guys, from a dead stop, we're in first gear. On throttle, here we go. All grip, no slip. On the brakes, downshift. Nice. I'm telling you right now, with the way the boost builds, it really comes like a freight train. So it does a great job with building that boost. It's just, as you notice off the line, you are waiting for that boost a little bit from a dead stop. Let me try from a slow roll here. Second gear, first gear, 3,000 RPM, on throttle, here we go. Nice. So it really, really allows you to see the difference on how the vehicle accelerates from a roll and from a dead stop. Being in that right range allows you, of course, to have the quicker getaway because the boost is just ready to rock and roll. But they definitely did some great work on the engineering of the chassis and the suspension. This does not feel like a GTI or a Golf R. It definitely is feeling more like an Audi vehicle in a very, very good way. All right, guys, one more time for me. Definitely one more time for you. I put it back in automatic shift mode. On throttle, here we go. There we go. On the brakes. It really puts a smile on your face as you're driving this thing. Nicely done. I mean, look at this. Very, very surprising how the turbocharged engine develops its power with the 4Motion, keeps you planted. But hopefully this has been a nice overall review of the 2023 Arteon. We're going to get back to Volkswagen of North Tampa and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been one heck of a fun driving day here at Volkswagen of North Tampa. I definitely want to thank Christina, Nick, and the rest of the team getting us access to their very first Moonstone. I love the name of that color, Moonstone Gray Volkswagen Arteon, that SEL R-Line trim. Let me know what you think. Is this the better sports style sedan over the G70, over the Stinger GT, or are you going to go with one of those other two? Let me know how you're going to spend your money in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit the subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radies Rides family. We definitely got to give it up to Stephen Flood, Stephen Flood Photography. Let him know what you think of his camera skills. He thinks he's doing a good job. I think so too, but let him know in that comment section how you feel, how he's doing. Thank you, Stephen, for your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.